Alright, we're gonna get ready to jump into the deep end in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so every year the Discovery Channel puts on a big celebration for shark research and conservation, Shark Week. This was all sparked because of an adverse reaction that audiences had to movies like Jaws with all of the shark fishing going on afterward. Now, I feel like we are far removed enough from that where I hope we can appreciate these movies without vilifying the wild animals portrayed throughout, because I wouldn't have really gotten into Shark Week or shark research in general if I didn't grow up with the Jaws movies first. It's a weird cycle, but since Shark Week is coming up, I usually do a little shark movie binge over the course of a few weeks. Starting with Jaws. 1975. A big town cop has decided to move to a small island town just in time for a really big shark to kill and terrorize the townsfolk, leading to a second and third act that take entirely on the water, on the hunt, leaving our three leads to bicker and survive the shark while otherwise stranded in the ocean. Jaws is considered a legendary film for a reason. It is expertly paced from beginning to end with performances that are powerful and feel real. Every frame of this movie feels like it's perfectly crafted, despite the menagerie of famous production problems behind the scenes creating the movie. Each scene linked together with a score that makes the movie both terrifying in its mystery and exciting in its chases. But there are some things with Jaws that never sat right with me. Points the story's original creator, Peter Benchley, also had a problem with, as he would go on to heavily promote shark conservation. But I also don't think any of these points should take away from the technical achievement how perfectly crafted this movie is everywhere else. Before it's taken down from wherever it's streaming as a tax write-off, please go out and see Jaws.
Yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
1978's Jaws 2. Our lead protagonist from Jaws returns to lead Jaws 2, where the characters have grown in the years since the initial Jaws attack, except our protag is twice as anxious about sharks, and everyone in town is twice as over it, because a serial-killing great white shark can happen twice, right? Well, after a serial-killing great white shark shows up again, and nobody believes him, Brody sets out to find his sons who had gone on a little joyride in their hot-rodded-up sailboats. Instead of choosing to do something different with its plot, the sequel decided to focus on how the characters have changed in the years since the shark attacks of 1975, especially Mr. and Mrs. Brody. Our lead is even more jumpy than before, and with the self-confidence of being right, it leads to moments of real concern for his mental well-being. The Meyer character has also grown really as well, defending Brody in an ultimately deleted scene and appearing far more solemn throughout, although it could be actor Murray Hamilton's behind-the-scenes tragedy fueling this. In contrast, the Brody boys, one of which stared a dude as he was being eaten alive in the last movie, are just there to give their dad some motivation and not send someone else to fight the big bad boy. The son's eclectic group of friends range from fun to annoying and primarily act as shark chum, even if fewer get got than you might expect. Jaws 2 Electric Boogaloo, to its credit, looks, sounds, and feels like its predecessor, doing its best to capture the magic of Steven Spielberg's original. And to a degree, it succeeds, at least more so than any other shark movie that has come since. Even if the shark shows its Kermit side in this one shot. 1983's Jaws 3D. You know, until Spy Kids 3D, this was the highest grossing movie released in 3D. You should think about that while watching a young Dennis Quaid be the protagonist in a SeaWorld so poorly managed, I am surprised we don't see Tilikum. When the shark does show up, everyone thinks it's scary but cool, and they put the shark in the park as an exhibit. Then a bigger shark shows up, and if you care, at 35 feet, this is the biggest shark in the Jaws franchise. And it's significantly less scary. We all know Jaws 3D has some famously bad effects, right? Setting those aside, unfortunately, there is still not a whole lot going on, where the previous movies chose to explore old characters in a pretty much identical story. Here we shift things up by doing nothing with the characters in a vaguely different story. It's just that what is different is that we are in a SeaWorld, and there's a mama shark do-do-do-do-do-do. While the performances come across as lighthearted and fun across the board, and that's great, and despite the premise of a shark in a water park being an exciting idea, idea when half your movie looks unfinished and the other half is just uninteresting. I don't know what there's really left to latch onto. I do like this movie a little more every time I end up watching it, but right now I'm barely hitting neutral when I'm watching Jaws 3D. 1987's Jaws, The Revenge. Ah, yes! The Jaws movie where the shark has roars right out of a Tom and Jerry cartoon. Here we continue to follow the Brody family, the mother more specifically this time around, in their continual battle with the ocean's second deadliest predator. After the family's younger son, who we've seen 3 times now, gets got, the family matriarch has a pretty natural breakdown and spends the holidays with their elder son in the Bahamas, where no shark would ever follow. The shark follows. Jaws, The Revenge, almost wants to be a meditation on grief and loss, as well as paranoia and phobias in general, but the shark. Everything with the shark. The one thing that this series requires kind of makes that impossible. Not only does it just not make sense in the Bahamas, or for it to have any sort of a grudge against the Brody family, but giving it some sort of psychic connection with Mama Brody makes those previously mentioned themes impossible to take seriously. But as much as this movie is universally reviled, I do have a small spot for it. It was the first Jaws movie I ever viewed, having watched it late night on TV. Not so much a soft spot that I think it's a quality production, but I've always liked it a little more than Jaws 3D. 1995's Cruel Jaws. Jaws 5. Cruel Jaws is certainly part of the Jaws canon. Absolutely. Without question. Cruel Jaws follows an insufferable nerd and a small-town cop living in a small island town at just the time for a really, really big shark to kill and terrorize the townsfolk, with a mafia plot dancing around in the background that was just lifted from the original Jaws novel for good measure. I don't really know what to say about Cruel Jaws without being mean, except it is lesser in every way imaginable. The actors are trying, but can't help but fumble through line after line, while the movie itself even resorts to using footage from the original Jaws movies. Not that that's not a thing Jaws hasn't, already done itself in its own movies. They made a movie, got it edited, and put a score to it. Wait, is that the Star Wars theme? Listen, if they got this movie made and released, you can do anything you put your mind to. 2023's Black Demon. In this megalodon-sized Sharksploitation feature, we follow a family on vacation. Well, the dad is here to investigate an oil rig and brought his family along because he thought it'd be a nice vacay. Well, it ain't. Not only are the local residents pretty hostile for a variety of reasons, but there is a big old shark swimming around that rig, like a big old chonky boy. Oh, and there's a bomb strapped to the rig that everyone is way too casual about. There are good things here, particularly everything with the tourist destination before everyone is forced onto the oil rig. The shark scenes, the scenes you are probably here for, are also more well done than they are not. Plus, there's a couple of side characters who really steal the show by just being good, chill dudes. This is not a particularly graphic horror movie, but Sharksploitation movies rarely are. For the most part, this production is also shot pretty adequately, except for when you get to any kind of sequence with exposition. It's just kind of all over the place. Coupled with one of the most unlikable horror movie husbands, it leaves you with a big old uneven shark movie that does have a little bit of a bite. 2024's Under Paris. So this is the big shark movie of the year that everyone's hailing as the next Jaws? I mean, really at its core, the movie's A-plot is Deep Blue Sea, trying to keep a giant freak of nature mako shark from escaping into the open ocean. Or is it being compared to Jaws because it's lifting the B-plot entirely from that franchise, disregarding the police and ocean experts to keep a highly publicized triathlon going and the water full of people soup? There are really well-designed sequences of suspense incorporated throughout, but just as many chompathons where we see how many people a shark can shoot in a barrel that feel, underwhelmingly cartoonish. It makes for an uneven but fun big shark movie. Under Paris does take itself seriously, but not so seriously that we aren't making up new species of super shark to create a situation in which we actually have a giant shark living under Paris. The biggest leap in logic that this movie is asking you to make is there being a freshwater breathing, hyper-aggressive giant mako shark that is born pregnant. If you can get on board with that, you can get on board with the rest of the movie. It's done pretty well. 2023's Sharksploitation. Now, this is a very straightforward documentary on the history of sharks in movies. Not just the movies that everyone looks at as Jaws ripoffs, but the movies that came before, during, and the movies that definitely came after as well, asking questions regarding why we find the movies so and when the shifts towards the vilification of sharks really began in the motion picture industry. The amount of interviews you get from casts and crew of some of your favorite not Jaws movies, as well as some actual factual shark experts and ocean people, there's a whole lot a person can get out of this production, especially individuals who just enjoy horror movies or movie history or sharks in general. Okay, wow, yeah. I wouldn't maybe exactly recommend that movie marathon, but it's the marathon we did, so it's the one we talked about. Please remember that this is all done in support of and to bring attention to shark and marine conservation, so if that is a thing you are capable of supporting and donating to, please do. Saving the oceans is important. Captain Planet tried to tell us this back in the 90s, and we absolutely failed him up until now. So I'd go out and do something good today. Try and make Captain Planet proud.